Morning Sun Homestead. If you're like us, you like chili and you like soups, but with those chili and the soup, we also like saltine crackers. We have been finding that it's impossible to find a saltine cracker without a bioengineered food ingredient listed as an ingredient in the cracker. So, because we're concerned about our health and what we're eating, we've decided to learn how to make our own from scratch. If you follow this video, by the end, you'll be able to make yours from scratch also. The recipe starts off with 1.5 cups of cake flour. I didn't have cake flour, so I just used all-purpose white flour, and I sifted it. So it's fine, and it's got some air throughout it now, which it didn't have before. To that, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of yeast, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. I've just put all those 3 in here. Now we're going to whisk this together. Once we have the dry ingredients all in here together, we're going to whisk them, and then we're going to make a little trough in the middle of our bowl. So we'll make a little hole in the middle, and to that we are going to add 6 tablespoons of water, 2 tablespoons of room temperature butter that we've already melted and then we left it set to warm up to what we need, and 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. I use the extra virgin olive oil and it works great. We're going to pour that into our little trough, and then we're going to mix this all together. Once we've stirred the butter in and it begins to incorporate with the flour and starts to form a dough, we begin to use our hands to mix the dough. This dough is forgiving. If it's too dry, we can add a little bit more water. If it's too wet, we can add a little bit more flour. So if your measurements aren't exactly perfect, you can fix that at this point. I ended up adding just a small amount of water to my dough because it was kind of dry. As you can see now, it's a nice dough, very pliable. Not sticky at all, and that's what we're looking for. Once we have our nice ball of dough, we are going to need to let it rest for 12 hours in a cool place. We're going to put ours in the refrigerator. I have greased this glass bowl. We need to grease our bowl with either butter or oil, lard, whatever you have, just so it doesn't stick. And then we're going to put a lid on it, or you can cover it with plastic wrap, parchment paper, your choice. We'll put it in, let it rest for 12 hours. Tomorrow we'll roll it out, we'll make our crackers, and we'll show you just how good they can be. Welcome back. It's the next day, and we have chilled our dough in the refrigerator overnight. So the first thing we're going to do is we needed to take it out of the refrigerator to warm up. So we left it set for about an hour on the counter, and then we're going to knead it. Then we're going to put it into 4 different balls. I divided into 4 balls just because it's easier for me to roll out, and then I'm going to use a pasta maker in order to make it as thin as possible. When the dough is thin, then we have crispier crackers, which is what everybody likes when it comes to saltine. Right now I'm going to preheat the oven to 400 so that can get started, and then I'm going to roll one of these out and put it in the pasta maker. As you can see, I've rolled it fairly thin, but with this handy dandy pasta maker, it's going to make it super thin because we have 9 different settings. So we can roll this out and go back, change the lever, we'll roll it again. With a pasta maker, it's wise to not go more than 1 setting at a time because it will not be thin enough, and then it's really hard to roll, and it's hard on your equipment as well. So I'm on 3. And you can see it's getting longer, it's also getting thinner. And you can roll it to whatever thickness you desire or what your family likes. The thinner the crust, the more crispy the cracker will be. But you also want to be careful not to get it so thin that you end up having where it breaks. So I'm going to stop at that. And you remember what I started with and see how much I have now. We have our 4 balls rolled out very thin, as you can see. And now we'll cut them with a pizza cutter. If you wanted this to be professional or you were going to sell them, you would need to trim the edges off because they're ragged and don't look very nice. But this is for our supper table. So we do not care really how they look, we just worry about the taste. So you can take it from here and cut them in whatever shapes you want. As you can see, our pan we have a variety of shapes. So what you're going to do now is you're going to put them on a piece of parchment paper. They can be very close together because as the crackers bake, they will shrivel up some, so there'll be space between them at the end. I also wanted to point out one thing about the pasta maker. The pasta maker is not a lot of expense up front, and it's very handy in the kitchen to make noodles, obviously. I made lasagna noodles on it. We just make a lot of things, but it also helps to be able to roll dough for crackers when you need it nice and thin. If you don't get the thinness of the dough for the crackers, sometimes your crackers will end up soggy in the middle because they don't bake all the way. So that's why we do the pasta maker, and I think it's a good investment for any kitchen, and it's not real expensive. It's higher now than it was, but it's still not an astronomical expense. We have our crackers laid on the table. We did overlap just a few, but as they shrivel up during the cooking process, they will have enough room. One thing that you can do at this point is brush them with a little bit of water, and then you can season them with salt, or you could do ground up herbs, whatever you wanted. We're going to leave ours plain because that's how we like it. So we're going to head them to the oven for around 8 to 10 minutes, and then we'll show you the finished product. Our crackers have come out of the oven. One thing I failed to tell you all in the recipe was before we pop them in the oven, we need to poke them with a fork. And that will be before you put water on them to put whatever kind of seasoning on them that you would like. So here is our crackers once they've been completed and out of the oven. Ours are a little crispy. They went about 11 minutes. That way they're a little bit more crispy than what others may like them. But if you like them crispy like this, it all depends on your oven as to how long they'll have to bake. But 8 to 10 is the normal. Thanks for watching this video. We appreciate your support. We hope that you like our videos well enough to subscribe to our channel. Have a great day.